trillion naira at the end of December 2019.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing
amounted to 15.7 trillion naira at the end of December 2019.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing of committing aggressive. The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor Ibikunle Amosu.
Welcome to News Desk on Celebration TV. I am Comfort James and it is many thanks for joining us. Quickly a look at the news making the rounds for today. UK reverses Nigeria, orders travel ban, cancels quarantine, insists on test. Gambia's opposition leader contests Barrow's re-election. Trump ex-chief of staff in contempt of Congress. Nigeria's oil production increases by 2.55 million per barrels, says OPEC. Boca beat Barcelona to win inaugural Maradona Cup. Do also stay with us to bring you the news in full just right after this time out. Welcome back, and now the news in full. UK reverses Nigeria, orders travel ban, cancels quarantine, insists on test. The United Kingdom has said it will lift the travel ban on Nigeria and 10 other African countries from today. The UK Health Secretary, Sajid Javid, who disclosed this while addressing the British Parliament, stated that travel ban was less effective in preventing transmission of Omicron variant of COVID-19 from abroad. The move follows anger from Nigeria and other African countries, with the United Nations describing the ban on non-UK residents entering England as travel apartheid. The British government had on December 4th placed Angola, Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, Malawi, Mozambique, Namibia, Nigeria, South Africa, Zambia and Zimbabwe on its travel ban following the outbreak of the Omicron variant of COVID-19. It said the red list was reintroduced as the precaution after the emergence of the Omicron variant. Meanwhile, there were indications on Tuesday that Nigerians were not embracing the booster jabs. Moving forward, we won't allow minister, government officials scuttle 2021 agreement with the federal government, says ASU. The Academic Staff Union of Universities has flayed what it described as an attempt by some government officials, including the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, and the Permanent Secretary to the Ministry of Education, Sonny Echono, to discredit the 2021 draft agreement which the federal government reached with the union, saying that such antics would not work. The union particularly accused the minister and the permanent secretary of working to undermine the agreement, which it said was the most important aspect of the MOA it signed with the government in 2020. The ASU leader also said that the union took exception to the statement credited to the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, in the media that the federal government had made a lot of progress in the implementation of the MOA since it has paid the 30 billion naira revitalization fund and the 12.127 billion naira earned allowance, describing it as false. Abubakar, who was represented by the immediate past Bauchi Zonal Coordinator of ASU, Professor Nanwa Vukiri, lamented that the federal government was conniving with the state government to kill university education in the country through the proliferation of higher institutions without adequate funding. In another development projects better than cash gift, says Wike. Governor of Rivers State Nyesom Wike says when communities support the government, they attract more development projects that are better than cash gifts. Speaking at the inauguration of Tombia Road Extension in Obio Akpo, Wike said the the project is another fulfillment of a promise made to them. The governor, in a statement by the media aide, Kelvin Ebiwi, also appreciated the support given by the people of Rumueme community in Obio Apo local government area to the People's Democratic Party controlled by the Rivers State government. Governor Wike reiterated the need for people to understand that government was not only about making promises, but also include a commitment to fulfilling those promises. The governor said the best way to ensure that those promises are fulfilled was to hold politicians accountable for what they say and do. This, he said, will ensure that such politicians do not turn around later to offer excuses for their failure in keeping the promises they made when another opportunity pushes them to come seeking fresh political support. And now we bring you news stories coming from around Africa. Gambia's opposition leader contests Barrow's re-election. The party of Gambian opposition leader Usaino Daboe announced that it appealed to the Supreme Court to annul the proclaimed re-election of the incumbent Adama Barrow in the presidential election, accusing him of multiple irregularities including vote buying. Adama Barrow was declared the winner by the Electoral Commission of the presidential election of December 4 with about 53% of the vote against about 27% of the main, his 5 competitors. Usaino Daboe, the presidential election is a one-round contest in Gambia. Mr. Daboe had, even before the announcement of the result, expressed with 2 others candidates his intention to contest the result without specifying the reasons. His party, the United Democratic Party, appealed to the Supreme Court on Tuesday. In its appeal, it accuses Mr. Barrow or his supporters of having distributed money or gifts in various villages. It claims that Mr. Barrow's party, the National People's Party, has infiltrated the Electoral Commission. It also alleged that non-Gambians participated in the election as well as various irregularities in the voting and counting process. The international community has signaled that it will be watching to see whether the losers accept or contest the results made official by the Commission as an indicator of the progress made by this young democracy in transition. And still coming from around Africa, Tunisia's labor union slams decision to extend suspension of parliament. Opponents of Tunisian President Kais Saied slammed his decision to extend a month-long suspension of parliament, accusing him of dealing another blow to the country's nascent democracy. Said had on Monday evening vowed to press on with reforms to Tunisia's political system after he snatched the government, froze the legislature, and seized wide-ranging executive powers in July. The former constitutional law professor announced an 11-week popular consultation to produce draft constitutional and other reforms ahead of a referendum on July 25th next year. Said had in October moved to rule by decree, escalating fears for the only democracy to have emerged from the 2011 Arab uprisings. While many Tunisians, tired of a system seen as dysfunctional and corrupt, welcome Said moves, he has also faced growing opposition in the form of mass demonstrations at home and pressure from abroad. The envoys of the G7 powers plus the European Union had urged Tunisia on Friday to set a timeline for a return to democratic institutions. Right now, we'll be taking a break, and when we return, we shall look at news stories from the United States of America. Do well to stay with us.
I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war.
This is where we hold them! This is where we fight! This is where they die!
Operation Jabez 2021.
You cannot die like a chicken. You cannot die by accident. You will not be slaughtered or wasted. You will not bury your children. You will not bury your loved ones. You don't serve a dead God.
2019, 30th December 2021 by 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. daily GMT plus 1. Happening at the International Worship Center, Omega Fire Ministries, Kilometer 132 Benin Okene Abuja Expressway, Auchi, Edo State, Nigeria. For inquiries, call
Welcome back. Still on News Desk, Trump ex-chief of staff in contempt of Congress. The U.S. House of Representatives has voted to hold ex-Trump chief of staff Mark Meadows in contempt of Congress, paving the way for prosecution. Last week, Mr. Meadows said he would stop cooperating with a congressional panel investigating the 6th January riot at the U.S. Capitol. The vote largely fell along party lines, with the Democrat-run chamber voting 222 in favor and 208 against. He could face up to a year in prison and a $100,000 fine. Mr. Meadows will now be referred to the Justice Department, which will ultimately decide whether to formally charge him. Trump supporters breached the U.S. Congress building on 6 January as lawmakers were meeting to certify the election result. Before last week, Mr. Meadows has provided the committee about 9,000 pages of records regarding the event before reversing course and claiming that his communications are protected by executive privilege, a legal principle designed to shield certain White House records. After Mr. Meadows twice refused to appear at scheduled depositions, on Monday the congressional panel voted unanimously to recommend that the House hold him in contempt. On Monday, the committee released messages sent to Mr. Meadows while the riot was underway, revealing the key Trump administration officials and allies were concerned about what was happening. I'm bringing you more update from the foreign scene. Omicron variant spreading at unprecedented rate, WHO says. The new coronavirus variant Omicron is spreading across the globe at an unprecedented rate. The World Health Organization has warned cases of the heavily mutated variant have been confirmed in 77 countries. But at a press conference, WHO Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said it was probably in many others that had yet to detect it. Dr. Tedros said he was concerned that not enough was being done to tackle the variant. The variant was first identified in South Africa in November, and the country has since seen a surge in infections. President Cyril Ramaphosa has tested positive for COVID-19 and is currently isolating with mild symptoms. A number of countries have introduced travel bans affecting South Africa and its neighbors following the emergence of the variant, but this has failed to stop it from spreading around the world. And now moving to the world of business. Nigeria's oil production increases by 2.55 million barrels, says OPEC. Crude oil production in Nigeria increased by about 2.55 million barrels in the month of November 2021, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries announced. According to OPEC, the country's crude oil production rose by 85,000 barrels to 1.4 million barrels daily in November when compared to 1.3 million barrels that was produced daily in the preceding month of October. Figures obtained in Abuja by our correspondent from the December 2021 monthly oil market report of the 13-member nation organization showed that Nigeria's crude oil production in November was higher than what the country recorded in September and October. Records from OPEC show that Nigeria produced 1.3 million and 1.3 million barrels of crude oil daily in the month of September and October, respectively. The crude oil value in the OPEC reference basket dropped by $1.74 for 2.1% in November to an average of $80.37 per barrel amid lower prices of almost all medium and heavy sour grades in Asia, Europe, and the Americas. Still on business, Nigeria's debt rises by 2.54 trillion naira in 3 months, hits 38 trillion naira, says DMO. The Debt Management Office disclosed that Nigeria's public debt was 38.5 trillion naira as at the end of the third quarter of 2021. The total debt stock rose by 2.54 trillion naira in 3 months from June 30th to September 30th, 2021. The increase of 2.540 trillion naira when compared to corresponding figure of 35.465 trillion naira at the end of the second quarter in the year 2021 was largely accounted for by $4 billion Eurobonds issued by the government in September 2021. The issuance of the $4 billion Eurobonds has brought significant benefit to the economy by increasing the level of Nigeria's external reserves, thereby supporting the naira exchange rate and providing necessary capital to enable the federal government finance various projects in the budget. The federal government has come under heavy criticism for engaging in borrowing spree under the present administration. And coming up next from the world of sports, Boca beat Barcelona to win inaugural Maradona Cup. We'll bring you the details of these news stories and more just right after this time out.
Unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1. It's time to fulfill the scriptures. Here comes something huge. Are you a singer, an upcoming gospel artist? Do you have what it takes to be the next gospel music star? JOLIZ Records brings you Kingdom Voice Talent Hunt to build your passion and fulfill dreams. Hurry now, reach us on the following numbers or simply send a mail.
Gospel music ministers, I need you to be part of this talent hunt. Kingdom Voices. God bless you.
Don't miss out.
Welcome back. In now sports news, Boca beats Barcelona to win inaugural Maradona Cup. Boca Juniors beat Barcelona on penalties in Riyadh in a friendly match in honor of Diego Maradona, marked by the return of Brazilian Dani Alves to the Spanish club. Ferran Jogler gave Barca the lead in the 50th minute, but Ezequiel Zeballos leveled midway through the second half and the match finished 1-1. The Argentines then won the inaugural Maradona Cup 4-2 in a penalty shootout. Alves, 38, has rejoined Barcelona, where he played between 2008 to 2016 and won 3 Champions League titles and La Liga 6 times, but is ineligible to appear in competitive matches until the transfer window opens early next year. He was a free agent after leaving Sao Paulo in September following a dispute over unpaid wages. Right-back Alvarez was busy and dangerous and converted his penalty in the shootout. In another sports news and finally on News Desk, NFF may appoint foreign coach for Eagles before AFCON. The Nigerian Football Federation may appoint a foreigner as coach of the Super Eagles next week, an official of the federation has said. The NFF fired Janet Rohr as coach of the Eagles on Sunday and appointed Austin Eguavon as coach of the team ahead of preparations for January's Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon. A top official of the federation who spoke on condition of anonymity said the appointed coach in the coming weeks would be handed a long-term deal if he qualified the Eagles for the Qatar 2022 World Cup. The Eagles are drawn in Group D of the AFCON alongside Egypt, Guinea-Bissau, and Sudan, and they open their campaign against Pharaohs at Roundhay at Gir Stadium on January 11th. And that's the size of the news for today from News Desk on Celebration TV. But in case you missed out, here's a recap of the news making the rounds for today. UK reverses Nigeria, others travel ban, cancels quarantine, insist on test. Gambia's opposition leader contests Barrow's re-election. Trump ex-chief of staff in contempt of Congress. Nigeria's oil production increases by 2.55 million barrels, says OPEC. Boca beats Barcelona to win inaugural Maradona Cup. And now to the photo of the day. Now we have an image being displayed on TV. On our screens now we can see that in the first part of the image it has a man who is worried about not having shoes. On the second image he encounters someone without legs, and in the third image you can see clearly that he has identified the fact that instead of being worried about not having shoes, he should rather be grateful and thankful to God for having his legs. So this simply goes to tell you that always be grateful for what you have. We also want to hear your thoughts on the photo of the day, so do well to reach back to us via our social media platforms. On Facebook, Celebration TV, on Instagram, My Celebration TV, on Twitter, at My Celebration TV, and on YouTube, Celebration TV. Now, your positive contribution to the wellness of the society you find yourself or the organization you work defines your leadership might. As an individual who knows what to do and do without expecting to be pushed has backed his way to success. So be it known today that everything we do, think, feel and believe either has a positive or negative effect on humanity and our national well-being. So be a part of nation building today. I am Comfort James, and it is many thanks for watching.
To 15.7 trillion naira by the end of December 2019.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offense. The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikunle Amosu.
I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war.
This is where we hold them! This is where we fight! This is where they die!
Operation Jabez 2021.
You cannot die like a chicken. You cannot die by accident. You will not be slaughtered or wasted. You will not bury your children. You will not bury your loved ones. You don't serve a dead God.
2019, 30th December 2021 by 9 a.m. and 3 p.m.